Hey guys, welcome to Better Than Yesterday. Me, Oliver Saunders, and my boy Adam Churchman. Today is a very special episode. It's something that's very dear to us. I mean, I guess all the episodes are, but this one speaks true on a daily basis. It's motivation over discipline. It's not every day you have that fire in you to get whatever you have done, but if you work on your level of discipline, then the days where you lack that fire, your discipline takes over and helps you continue with the job. Do you want to speak more about on that?
I think this is one of those pivotal. I remember specifically looking at people, like, we all follow people online. There's all these entrepreneurs, all these personal brand coaches, all these people that seem like they're just always going. And I remember sitting there being like, and I had this thought, I was like, man, why am I not as motivated as they are? Mm-hmm. I found it so discouraging because I just felt like, oh, I'm just not that way.
Right.
I can't be that way. I guess it's not for me.
Right.
Right.
And you're thinking those people are just that way. That's
Those
just in their
people
DNA.
Right.
That's just how they.
Yeah, they wake up in the morning and they're excited. They're like, boom, let's go to the gym.
Right.
Boom, let's start a business. And
Right.
they're always on.
Right.
And so I always thought that they were always on. And I felt so discouraged that I kind of put like a ceiling on how high I thought I could grow in my life.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't feel it. I was, like I've said before in times, I'm like kind of naturally more lazy-ish, slower vibe, right? And so I thought, there's no way I'm going to be able to succeed as a personal development coach. There's no way I'm going to grow my businesses or do any of that stuff. And then I had this realization that I was an idiot, and and they weren't always motivated.
Right.
But the difference between, and what I've noticed with anybody in any level of success is your level of discipline equals your level of success.
Right.
And so these people have just learned how to keep going when they don't feel like it.
Right.
And so that's sort of been my journey of how do I get myself to the point of doing things when I don't feel like it.
Right.
It's a challenge, right? Honestly, one of the best things for me is I always fill my social media with the things that I like and the people that inspire me.
Yeah.
And I think I've said it to you before. I'm like, bro, it's hard for me to wake up in the morning and feel lazy when I look and the first thing I see is your Instagram. And it's like 4:30 in the morning and you're like, just sledded, just lifted elephants. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I can't be a wimp now. Oliver's out crushing it.
Right. And you know what? I appreciate that. Thank you. It's a funny thing for me. The gym started in the morning because I just have a horrible sleep. It's hard for me to sleep, and so I was just like, you know what? I might as well be productive while I'm just here. You know what I mean? I'm not doing anything. Nobody else is awake. And so that definitely helped me start going. But you know what? It was cool when you brought this topic up because I hadn't gotten to that point yet of thinking about that, and so. I just felt like, I had just started going back to the gym. I had just started seeing results. So I just had that motivation. And then it's funny because we sort of talked about it. And then I sort of realized, I'm like, wow, there are days that, you feel you're ready to go. And then there's days when you're just like, should I do it? But the fact that once you build that habit of doing it, then you feel bad when you don't.
Yes.
Do you think that building, what do you think it takes to actually build a habit? To start working towards your discipline?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you have to have that honest conversation with yourself to say that discipline is something that I lack. Right. I think a lot of people might not even open the door to realize that they're not disciplined. Right. Like if you only do the things you feel like doing, then you're not disciplined.
That's not
you're
discipline.
not a discipline. If you're like making the excuses like, well, you got to listen to your body. Hey, well, you got to like, sure, yeah, like don't.
To a certain extent.
Right.
To a certain extent.
But if you're a person who just doesn't do something when they don't feel like it, and like, I just do what I feel like. Okay, you're not disciplined.
Right.
And so you have to realize, do you want to be a disciplined person? And do you see the benefit in it? I would argue that it's impossible not to see the benefit of discipline.
Right.
And so for me, it's how do you get there? Well, it's practice, right? It's practice.
Yes.
It's one of the things that I do is I set alarms in my phone. So, my wake up alarm now is here's on the alarm. It's set for 4:30 and it says countdown to 12% body fat.
Right.
Because that's my new goal.
Right.
And so I set that alarm. But I also do it in simple things like I have an alarm that goes off at 8:30 p.m. every single day that says cat litter.
Right.
Because I know naturally.
Right.
I'm not checking it at 8:30. I'm getting myself ready for bed. I want to go to bed.
Right.
But it needs to get done.
Right.
And so I've Eliza has encouraged this.
Yeah.
But like I've set these little alarms and things to help trigger the discipline, because discipline, it doesn't just show up.
Doesn't just happen.
You have to grow and build in it.
Right.
And so for me to do that, I set these alarms, because then I have to consciously be like, oh, time to do the cat litter?
Right. No. Right.
Right? Like,
yeah.
So like I then make an active choice to not do a thing that I've already said I wanted to do.
Right.
Right? Until that becomes second nature,
Right.
that alarm is going off every day.
But you know what? And you know what? The fact that you're able to recognize it, and then the fact that you're working on it, like we said, your brain, your body, it's all just muscles. You know what I mean? The more you work on things, the more you build that habit, you build that, you know what I mean? Build the strength to do it when you don't want to.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny because I think that in certain situations, people may not set those alarms or may not do those things, so they could sort of give themselves that excuse for not doing it at the end of the day.
Sure.
I didn't set the alarm. I didn't really remember. I'm just going to go to sleep. Maybe I'll do it the next day.
Right.
So I think that you made a great point that anybody could be disciplined, but it's how bad do you want it?
100%.
How bad do you want to be disciplined? How much are you willing to put in that work to change things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, discipline hurts.
Absolutely.
It's like growing pains, right? Like the best feeling though is when you finally do, and I'll take it to the gym, when you are, for me, I work out at the end of the day a lot as well.
Yeah.
So when you get to the gym after you've like, I don't want to do the gym today, and then you do it anyway, man, the level of like, it's an everyday choice still, like discipline can fall away really easily.
Right.
But on that day, I did it. I did something that I didn't want to do because you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I did it anyway because it was the right thing to do. The confidence that builds, man, when I do that, when I leave that,
untouchable.
when I leave that gym afterwards, I'm like, I'm the king.
Right.
I do things when I don't feel like doing it.
No,
and then I start to think that I'm the Andy Frizillas of the world. I'm the Alex Hermosi. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, and it inspires me to keep going and keep becoming more of that.
Right.
Because for that day, I got a small taste of what it's like to be one of those people.
And you know what's funny? Like there was a day, maybe a couple days ago, when I went to the gym and I was super tired and I was not feeling it. And I said to myself, just get there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just get there. And I'm not gonna lie, I probably worked out 80%. I went through all of my workouts, but I didn't go 100%. But the fact that I was there when I left, like you said, when I left, I was just like, wow, I still did it.
Yeah.
I still made it there. And then when you leave, you feel that accomplishment. And then the next time you come up against something, you're going to be like, oh, without even knowing, I did that.
Right.
I could do it again.
You made a great point there about, maybe you only gave it 80%.
Right.
But you still showed up, right? Your life, we have a lot in common, but we also have very different lives at times because you have a blended family, you got your kids, the hours that you work are different than what I do.
Right.
How, on those days, you're still showing up. How do you balance that feeling of like, because you have a lot of important priorities, right?
Yeah.
So how do you on those days where you're like, but I'm busy, I got to take the kids to school, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to work tonight, I got to do all these things. It's okay, I don't have to do it.
Right.
What do you do to push yourself to do it on those busy days?
I would say one, my kids are just a great motivator because I want to lead by example. So I want them to see, and not what kids, it's what's that saying? Not what I say, but what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you could say, be motivated, be disciplined. But if I'm not sticking to what I have to do, even on the hard days, why would I expect them to do it? Another thing that also helps me is the fact that I feel like if I grind now and I put in and I plant these seeds and I water those seeds and I do everything, that later in life, I should have the amount of money that I'm able to do what I want on my own time.
the freedom.
My own. So I see it now. I see a sacrifice now for the big picture later. And so that's what sort of helps me stay on track and everything, because I'm like, you know what? I'm a grind now. I might be tired now, but I'll be able to take my family on that big vacation. I'll be able to be the first guy to take my daughter to Paris. So some guy can't say he took my daughter to Paris. You know what I mean? I'm taking my son to New York so he can see the Empire State Building and everything like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even though there's days where it's hard and there's days where I'm tired and stuff, it's just the bigger picture. The bigger picture is what keeps me focused and honed in. And you know what? I'm not perfect. And also, you also have to not forgive yourself, but like there'll be days where, you know, Sunday nights, sometimes I work extra late. If it's busy at the restaurant, I stay later.
Right.
So Mondays, I may not go to the gym on Monday because I have to take my son to school. I got stuff to do, but I'll make sure that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I incorporate an exercise that I had on Monday, an exercise that I had. So Monday is still getting done.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even if because life happens, stuff happens. You know what I mean? And so you can't be like so focused on structure or anything that if something happens, you're just
throws
at a
you
loss.
right
It
off.
just throws you completely
Right.
off. You have to be able to roll with things, but like you said earlier, it's that fine line of you can't make excuses.
Right. See that you just like shot me right, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, because I am a structure guy
Right.
through and through, and me saying this, it's kind of bringing a little bit of conviction to me because I'm one of those guys like, oh, my routine's off. I guess I don't have to do it today.
Right.
Right. And I make that excuse. But, when you think about it, if you're still hitting, like you said earlier, like the 80% workout, 80 is better than 0.
100%.
Right?
Any day, way better than 0.
Right. And then you think about like what are most people doing?
Right.
Right. And this personal development stuff that we are on this journey of, you're going to have roller coasters. You're going to have days that interrupt your regularly scheduled program.
Right.
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 And you don't lose hope. You don't fall off track. Hey,
You make adjustments.
So you adjust and you pick it back up and you get back into tomorrow. And so I think the discipline for me is in my life is like, I have those days where maybe it's like yours, where you're late one day, so you miss the next,
Right.
Or you got your car problems, or you got your this problem, or whatever.
Life.
And life.
Yeah.
And but the discipline is that I used to just say, oh, it's done. And it would throw me off. Not just today, I missed today. I'm missing 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. And now I'm like, oh, what a terrible
And now you're
week.
like, am I even? You're like, then it's like you get to that point where you're like, do I even want to go back? Like, is people gonna like, you know what I mean? Like, then you start thinking. So it's like you sort of got to nip it in the butt. And it's funny because I feel like in my life and the life that I lived before, more structure throws me off than just going with the flow. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm more of a go with the flow person. I think I've gotten better at structure because kids need structure and kids need discipline, and they need to know their schedule, and they need to know like, okay, we're going to school today, and then we're going to eat snack, and then we're going to da da da.
Yeah.
So I think that's helped me with the structure. Do you think that is it easy for you to go with the flow? Is it sometimes is that something that you would like to?
I got to get
work?
better. I got to get better at it. It's funny because I'm like a pretty laid back, relaxed person.
Yeah, for sure.
That operates with structure.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I can see that 100%.
Like I have my things that I have to hit, but I also like don't care about tons of stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay.
It's okay,
Whatever.
roll.
I'll roll with it. But I would say I need to get better at that.
Yeah.
Especially because of how it can impact relationships. If I start to get thrown off and stressed out because I'm missing my thing, then that discipline. The funny thing is, discipline is a great tool.
Yes.
Right. But discipline can't become your god.
Right.
In the sense that you're like, no, I have to do this.
Right.
You have to wait for me to do this. Then it becomes now it's controlling
Now it's too
me.
much. Yeah, that's not
Right.
even discipline. It's changed into something else.
Right, it's changing into something else. So I need to do a better job of not being controlled by the routine.
Yes.
And it's probably not, thinking through this as we chat, it's probably not so much a discipline as it becomes my this is my thing that I do, right?
Right.
And so I got to get better at that. But I think that it can translate into all of my areas, actually, work, home life, gym life, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that the discipline is the essential key that's made me successful at anything.
Right. And you know what the funny thing is? I think that's also another reason why me and you work out so well, because we're both laid back, go with the flow guys. But I would say that you are more structure oriented, more like, you know what I mean? You come up with the notes and you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm gonna show up and let's get to it. You know what I mean? And so it's like it's the best of both worlds.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I can take a little bit from you and you can take a little, you know what I mean? And we meet in the middle, and I think that that's the best thing about a relationship, a friendship, a partnership, a business. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The fact that you bring different aspects to the pot, because I might see something from my experiences differently than you see it.
100.
But we could speak about it and come to an agreement, and like we said, we're all about the best product, you know?
Yeah.
So what would you suggest to somebody who is trying to work on their discipline? What would you say would be the first step to working on becoming a disciplined person?
The first step would be acknowledging that you're not. The second step would be set yourself up for success. Like, make a plan.
Right.
How do you plan to be successful at this thing? Because as soon as you create a plan, it's going to discipline you by default, because you're going to have to put things in place to get there. And if it's important enough to you, then you'll start working it when you don't feel like it, because you know you want to get there. You have to have something you care about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think, if you don't care about something, what do you...
Right. And especially
away.
when you're first starting something with discipline, you should definitely start with something that's important, or something that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I would probably say, like, the motivation is the first foot in the door.
Right.
So if you feel motivated to do something, that's where then you can say, okay, this is the thing I'm motivated to. Now I've got to create the skill set around me, or the plan to keep doing that thing that I've already said that I want to do.
I think that's the realest thing that you said. The fact that the motivation, once you feel that motivation any day, right? You're like, okay, you know what? I think I want to try this, or I should do that. Then you should start thinking of your structure, because it may not be the first week, it may not be the second week, it may be 6 months. Because whenever you start something new, it's exciting, right?
Of course.
Right, it's exciting, right? And then when you get to the first part where it might be a little snag, or something goes differently than you expected, or something like that, that's when you're like, oh, okay, I get a little bit timid, which is normal, natural for anybody, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the realest thing. I think once you feel the motivation, then you come up with that plan, because there is going to be a rainy day.
Yeah.
And I would say that it would be better to get ahead of it
100%.
and sort of know how you're going to react to things when it does hit the fan, because things will.
Yeah.
You know, it's inevitable.
It's
you
inevitable.
know?
But the motivation is the foot in the door. The discipline is how you stay there. And I think if you can use the motivation to ignite the discipline, then you're going to be set.
I couldn't agree more. I think you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah.
You hit the nail right on the head. Thank you guys for tuning in. Better Than Yesterday, Adam Churchman, Oliver Saunders. We appreciate you guys. More episodes coming. Building the community. Better Than Yesterday.